And we welcome you back as we continue here on this Monday. Always a treat for us to say hello to Coach Brian Kelly, especially a week like this when the eyes of the nation will be upon Tiger Stadium. Coach, you've been in many, many games like this. What does it feel like a couple of days out?
Well, it's exciting. I mean, that's why you come to a place like LSU. You want these opportunities and the challenges that come with it. And playing really a talented football team. I think across the board, position to position group coaching. It's the most complete team we're going to play all year. So it's exciting.
Coming off a bye, your second bye, how did you utilize this one, and does it affect anything knowing this is a little bit different than than a week where you play on Saturday night and you're right back at it the next day?
Well, I think we used it a little bit differently, a little bit more recovery for our players. But look, I mean, after the LSU second half, we had a lot to work on as well. So, we had some work that needed to be done, both as coaches and players. So, spent time on that certainly during the week, and then appropriately so gave our guys a chance to recover and reset and get ready for what is an exciting week of football here in Baton Rouge and in Tiger Stadium, hosting Alabama.
Coach, you get so few Saturdays off during the season. How did you spend a rare, I wouldn't call it a day off, but a day where you weren't coaching?
Actually, this is the first time in a long time that I actually did some stuff around the house. So my wife has the list is now only 30 pages long of the to-do list. So I made a little bit of headway with her. And then I did watch a couple of games. I watched some of the late game. I watched the A&M game and was able to second guess everything that was done out there. It felt really good. But no, I mean, it was a bit of a relaxing day, and then we got right back at it on Sunday morning.
Coach, I would talk about regrets. I would regret if I didn't ask you about the to-do list around the house. I mean, what stood out in what had to be just an incredibly meaningful day?
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with outdoor work that hasn't been done in quite some time. And you can imagine I'm not the most handy guy. I've done 34 years of coaching. So, this pesky day job gets in the way of being a good gardener. So, cutting the lawn, doing that stuff. We usually have somebody that does it, but they hadn't been around. So I got a chance to do a little bit of that, and it was actually relaxing. Nobody threw anything at me. Everybody was really kind, and it worked out pretty good.
I don't know why I just had this image of Coach Kelly mowing the lawn. I wish I did have that picture. That would be priceless. Well, Coach, I will move on now from such mundane chores to the issue at hand here. And why don't we start with Nussmeier, because certainly you addressed his game a week ago, but how is he progressing? I know he's had some nagging injuries. What's it like for your quarterback?
Well, I think he's healthy. There's no doubt about that. I think, look, he's a first-time starter, and he had a rough patch. But I would think we would all have been amazed is if a first-time starter didn't have a rough patch. I think, he's certainly going to grow from it. I think he's going to be better because of it. And then, as I said in my post-game remarks, I think as coaches we have to do a better job of giving him a little bit more help, and that help in particular was. I think we've got to be more balanced. We've got to give him an opportunity that the running game helps him and assists him so he doesn't feel like he's got to make every play. I mean, he's in the top 10 or so in every category as a quarterback. And we've got to be able to make him feel as though he has other weapons other than just throwing the football every down.
I know you want your quarterback to be confident, and not to quote the critics here, but some have said that he may be too confident in his ability sometimes, but when the position or the situation doesn't present itself properly, how do you manage a quarterback who can be great at times and you don't want to take away from what makes him unique?
Yeah, and I think there are times where a quarterback is using his confidence to a point where he's not realistic about what he's doing. I'm not saying that that's Garrett's case at all. I think what he was doing is forcing things and pressing because he felt like he was the guy that had to make the plays instead of having a balanced offense in terms of the runs and the screens and some other things, misdirection, and so I take a lot of the onus on the coaches and myself of not giving him enough of that balance. So. I think there are times, to answer your question, where a quarterback is forcing things and thinking that he can make every play. I don't know that that was the case with Garrett. I think he's just going to know that zero is a good play too, and move forward, and zero is okay.
Speaking of quarterbacks, you saw plenty of Milroe last year in
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa. It was perhaps his best game of the year against Jaden Daniels. How do you prepare for someone like him?
Well, it's much different than last year, Paul. They were trying to figure out who the starting quarterback was most of the year. They were in and out of different systems, trying to figure out what was best. Now, in Coach DeBoer's offense, he's had a whole spring, preseason, and the entire season. So, he's in a much better rhythm within this offensive structure. But it's still, Jaden Milroe is a dual threat quarterback. He can hurt you running, scrambling, keeping plays alive. Outside the pocket, he is so dangerous, and he has a live arm. He certainly can throw the football down the field. So you're dealing with what, as we're seeing in college football is somebody that can extend plays, and he can hurt you with his feet, and he can certainly throw the football. So very dangerous quarterback.
Coach, you've had many big wins in your career. One of the biggest at LSU was 2 years ago in this exact spot in overtime against Nick Saban. Saban will be there Saturday, as you well know. I know you spent time with him as he has been digging down on all the SEC teams. Are you going to let him around the facilities or practice, or is there hands off because he's still on the payroll at Alabama?
Yeah, he still has an office over there in Alabama, so I'm not sure, but what they say is, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So we're going to let him hang around a little bit, but we're not going to let him in the locker room. That's for sure.
I wondered about that, and I don't need to even ask you about Saturday night because everybody from in the media makes a bigger deal maybe than it's worth, although it does seem to be worth a lot, the mystique of Saturday night at Tiger Stadium. But having been there a million times, there's no mystique. There's no crowd that's louder than for the Alabama game. Just I know you're happy where this game landed, but what does that crowd mean to you as this game hits the fourth quarter Saturday night?
Well, it won't mean much if we're not playing well. They're like every other crowd. They won't be too happy if we're not playing well. It starts with your team. It starts with your team's ability to capture your crowd and keep them into the game and keep them engaged in the game. And quite like at the second quarter and College Station, we had that crowd of over 100,000 quiet at A&M, but we woke them up when we didn't play very well and they started playing well. So it'll be the same thing. We've got to keep our crowd engaged. We have to play well and execute at a high level. If we do that, Tiger Stadium is a very difficult place to play for visiting teams.
All the best, Coach. Thanks for making time for us on this Monday.
Thanks, Paul. Take care.
You bet. Brian Kelly joining us here, getting ready for what is easily the biggest game of the year for Alabama and LSU this weekend. We'll take a short break. We are off and running here on a Monday.